Good morning, everyone. Great to be back here. It was a few months ago. Was it August or something? I don't know. I can't quite remember. But great to be back. If you don't know me, my name's Josh. I grew up here on the Sherwood estate, live in Folkestone now, so I'm a proper Sherwood boy. You can take the boy out of Sherwood and all that, but you can't take Sherwood out of the boy. And here with Anna, my wife, and our three children. Well, not really children anymore, they're getting older and older. It's a bit scary. Isaac, Evan, and Edie. So the whole of Team Carter here this morning, which is good. I dragged them out of bed early because it's over an hour's drive here from Folkestone, so they weren't that impressed when I woke them up. But just to remind them that we're coming. So it's great to be here. And as Richard said, I love this place and love this part of Tunbridge Wells, just so special here, and loads of different connections here. I remember coming to play school here when I was before preschool, whizzing round on a little plastic car all the way round and around, and then I can remember doing some amazing things here as well, like the Noise Project, which is a big social action project, and we filled up this hall with like paintbrushes and litter pickers and all stuff, and then a load of young people came in here and we went out into the streets and just did some amazing stuff. So it's a really, really special place here. And I was just sitting there and I was looking up at that. Jesus is alive today. Now, for those of you who've been here for ages, that's been here since what? Since the building was built? When was it? Okay, so that... So a long time ago, and I was thinking, isn't that amazing that declaration has been here in this building? And isn't it interesting that it says today? I thought that's really interesting. It doesn't just say Jesus is alive, which is, a saying which we might think of. But actually, Jesus is alive today. And then Richard got up and said that someone in the prayer time had said about looking up. And I thought, well, if you physically look up, look what you see. Jesus is alive today. So I just wondered whether somebody needed to hear that this morning before I get on to what I wanted to share. Jesus is alive today, not in the past, not even thinking about tomorrow. Today, he is alive. And isn't that just so exciting? And that is why I love being a Christian and why I love following Jesus, because he is alive today, and that makes all the difference to our life day in, day out. So I did say the whole of Team Carter was here. That's not strictly true, because there's a furry contingent of Team Carter which has been actually getting bigger. We decided that we would get 2 kittens a few months ago. Now we've got an old cat who's 14. She's quite grumpy, so we thought, she might be on her way out soon, you never know. So we'll get 2 kittens. Now, what we didn't realise was, I don't know whether you know this, maybe you do because you're more responsible than us, kittens can have kittens. Who knew that? Yes, well, we didn't know that, and we did not educate our kittens accordingly. Maybe we should have sent them along to Life and Soul or something, I think, and to one of your lessons, but no, we didn't do that. And one of them had 3 cats just a little while ago. The other one had 6 cats. So currently, we've left behind in our house 10 cats. Okay, so it's interesting, our house at the moment, so it's actually quite a nice break, to be honest, to be here without any scurrying around. If you've ever had a cat, at night time they get quite lively, and you can hear them running around. Imagine all those pairs of legs running around the house. It's just all a bit mad. So if you want a kitten, plenty available. So I was thinking about cats, and there's sayings, aren't there, about cats? Curiosity killed the cat. That is definitely true. I'm going to kill the cats, actually, probably, before too long. Their curiosity is everywhere. Our curtains are wrecked, This morning, I couldn't even do my trainers up because I was suddenly attacked by Ninja Kitten from the left, seeing the laces go around, whoosh, and around. I've got 2 big scratch marks right down my chest from this morning. I've got them on my hand as well. Yes, while the cat's away, the mice will play. That's another saying, isn't it, as well? It's probably while the humans are away, the cats will play. So not really sure what we're going to find out when we get back. But I was thinking about all those sayings of cats, and this morning we've heard a trustworthy saying from the Apostle Paul. And when we read his letters, he says this every so often. Here is a trustworthy saying. And I thought, okay, well, if it's a trustworthy saying, let's pay a bit of attention to some of those. And so recently I've just been paying a bit more attention to Paul's trustworthy sayings. And we've heard one from 2 Timothy. Let me just read it to you again, this time in the NLT version. It says, if we die with him, we will also live with him. If we endure hardship, we will reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny who he is. And this morning I just want to unpack these 4 parts of one of Paul's trustworthy sayings written to this young guy, Timothy, a young leader. And I think we can learn a lot about this. Now, if you were here the last time I was speaking, by the way, it's always great to be invited back again. Just wanted to say that, because sometimes you go and preach somewhere and no one ever contacts you ever again. And you think, okay, that went well. But, Richard asked me back, so it's great. So I was talking, we were talking about the selfie culture that's around us. You might remember if you were here. And we were talking about the idea in our culture that somewhere buried deep within us is the answer to all the problems, and it's just waiting to come out. But actually we were thinking about, no, it's much more important to realise that actually our help comes from outside us, and we all need a saviour. And the idea that actually inside us is not actually that great, really, when we think about it. And so this picks up exactly where we left off, because we were talking about how Jesus doesn't say, be yourself, which is our best bit of advice to anybody ever, for some reason, be yourself, but actually he says, deny yourself. And when we begin to do that, we see some amazing things happen. And here is the beginning of Paul's trustworthy saying to Timothy, if we die with him, we will also live with him. In other words, if we deny ourselves, we will begin to experience life, and life to the full. It's not that the hero is inside us, as Heather Small sang about in the 90s, search for the hero inside yourself until you find the key to your life. Well, unfortunately, most people spend their whole life looking inside themselves and don't often find the key to their life. Look outside yourself and wow, there is Jesus. Look up and he's alive today. And isn't that just great that we don't have to rely on ourselves? And so that's the first part of Paul's trustworthy saying. And it picks up nicely from where we left off last time. Now, interestingly, he goes on to talk about, of course, other things. And he talks, first of all, about hardships. Now, you would have experienced hardships in your life, no doubt, and so have I. But he says if we endure these hardships, we will reign with him. And, of course, over the past few weeks, we've been thinking a lot about people who reign. We've said goodbye to the Queen and honoured her amazing legacy. We've now got a king who's reigning over us, and we've got to remember to sing God Save the King and all things like that. So we've been thinking about reigning and what that means. And here, Paul says, if we endure the hardship, we will also reign with him. In other words, if we stick around and we don't give up when the going gets tough, some good things are coming our way. And I was thinking about this from a football analogy. I'm a big Folkestone Invicta fan. Okay, my sons are Arsenal fans, as you just found out. I am kind of an Arsenal fan. I'm much more into lower level football. Okay, so you've got to feel for me. Although I know you do feel for me here in Tunbridge Wells, because actually Tunbridge Wells is one league lower even than Folkestone. Folkestone's on tier 7. Tunbridge Wells is on tier 8, so I really feel for you guys as well. But, you've got to be committed watching your lower level football. So Isaac and myself and a friend of mine went to watch Folkestone Invicta in the FA Trophy, all right, last weekend. And this is how low down Folkestone are. It's a qualifying round for the FA Trophy to get into round 1. Okay, so that's like how low down we are. And we started watching, and it was really boring. I mean, even for that level of football, it was boring, wasn't it, Isaac? Yes, and we're thinking, right, okay, this is really bad. We did score, we went into the lead, and it still was incredibly boring. Got to 75 minutes, and my friend had to go, so he left. Now, guess what happened? As soon as he left, yeah, you got it. The match suddenly got incredibly exciting. There was a full-on 22-man brawl right in the middle of the pitch, including the 3 referees having to run in and separate everybody. That then resulted in a 93rd minute equaliser for the team who were playing Folkestone. I can't even remember what team it was now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They equalised, and then it went to, wait for this, immediately into a penalty shootout. No replay, no extra time in the FA Trophy, straight to a penalty shootout. Never seen a penalty shootout live. It was then at the goal that we were behind, so it's very exciting. And Folkestone Invicta won the penalty shootout. No, it's more exciting than that. That's much better. And we won 5-3, 2 great saves from our goalkeeper. My friend missed all of it, the whole thing, because he left when it was boring. Now, we could have done the same thing, and we would have missed out on all that excitement. And we could have left as well when the equaliser happened. We could have got demoralised. You know, there was opposition to what was going on, to what we wanted to see happen. And we could have left early, but we didn't. We saw something really exciting. And I think this is what Paul's talking about here in this second part of his trustworthy saying. If we endure hardship, we will reign with him. Fair enough, the hardship of 7th tier football doesn't really compare, does it, to the hardship of real life. But when we stick around in the hardship of life, when we hang around long enough, we will see what God is going to do. When we hang around, in this area of Tunbridge Wells, and you see the hardships that are going on in people's lives, maybe it's difficult to reach out to people, and we don't know how we're going to do that. But if we hang around long enough, we're going to see some amazing things as the church begins to reign, as the church begins to be the body of Christ. And I just thought, wow, isn't that so exciting, so encouraging? The next part, not quite so encouraging, and a little bit tricky, really. If we deny him, he will deny us. Ouch. You see, because God is looking for real from us. He's looking for us to be real. He doesn't want us to be bottling it. And if we do, actually, the consequences are that he's going to not be giving us the things that we heard about there, the reigning with him. But actually, it says he's going to deny us. And I don't know about you, but when I hear that word deny, it often reminds me immediately of a verse in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 7. Now, I don't know how well you know your Bibles, but the Sermon on the Mount, absolutely fantastic. Make sure you read that from start to finish at some point. Okay, maybe even try and do it this week. Matthew 7. So many amazing things, more longer than Matthew 7, but have a look at it. It's so amazing. So much great stuff in there. But there's this verse, there's this little bit in the middle, and this is what this reminds me of in this part of Paul's trustworthy saying. And this was a bit of the Bible. When I was a child, I used to really hate. It used to make me feel so nervous and like, what does that actually mean? And Jesus says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? Have we not cast out demons and done many wonders? But then I will declare, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice evil. Think, whoa, I mean, if that's not a verse to keep you awake at night, I don't know what is. And I'm thinking that, wow, what is that all about? Because you would think, wouldn't you, that prophesying, casting out demons, doing all these other things, which would surely mean that God would know you. But actually, he's asking more of us than even that. And what a challenge that is to you and to me. Now, in the book of James helps us out a little bit more about with what God is really looking for. And he talks about true religion. And he says, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Wow, that's what true religion is all about. Looking out for those around us who are not in as fortunate position as we are. Maybe they don't know Jesus. Maybe their lifestyle is all over the place. Maybe there's different challenges that they face day to day. Maybe there's a huge amount of loneliness for them. A huge amount of people just walking away and disregarding them. And actually reaching out to those people is what true religion is all about. And so if we want to get anything from if we deny him, he will deny us. What does it mean to deny him? Well, it means to ignore those who are less fortunate than ourselves. It means to just think that, oh, we're okay here on a Sunday morning and we can prophesy and we can sing and we can shout and we can do all these things. But actually, that's only a part of it. The bigger part, the bigger picture is to reach out. And of course, I know you guys do that so well here at St. Philip's. Now, the next part, the last part, if you like, of Paul's trustworthy saying, took me by surprise because I heard this recently because I've been listening to the Bible in a year. Now, before you think that sounds really holy, so far it's taken me almost 2 years and I haven't finished it, all right? So just to point that out, all right? Just in case you think, oh no, I can't do the Bible in a year. Neither can I, all right? So just don't like get into any false pretenses. And I listen to the Bible, which is great. David Suchet's audio Bible, you know, Poirot, yeah? Unfortunately, he doesn't do it in a Belgian accent. That would be quite good. But it's really, really good. I highly recommend it. Get it on Audible or something and you can listen to it. And I often listen to it when I'm walking to work on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. I work at the Girls' Grammar School in Folkestone, heading up the radio station there. And I listen, I've got half an hour walk there, half an hour walk back. So perfect time to listen to David Suchet. And more importantly, listen to God through David Suchet. And I got to this part and I was listening and I expected the fourth part to say, if we are unfaithful, he will be unfaithful. Because it kind of sounds like it's going to say that, because it's already said, you know, if we endure hardship, he'll reign with it. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he, remains faithful. And I was like, oh yeah, well, that's obvious, really, of course. And then, you know, he says, for God cannot deny who he is. But it took me by surprise because I kind of got into the rhythm of, okay, yeah. But this time, actually, no. This time, Paul demonstrates the amazing grace that is on offer to you and to me. And I thought, wow, that is amazing, that even when we are unfaithful, even when we are perhaps more concerned about our own religious life than looking outside the window to other people, even when we have been consumed with ourself and not been willing to allow God to touch us, actually, it's not over. Because God's grace is always there, and most importantly, it is here today, right now, for each one of us. So no matter how you're feeling about the last few days and weeks of your own spiritual journey, we can always immediately come back to God right now and receive his forgiveness, because he is faithful. Even though we've been unfaithful, even though we've been maybe tempted by different things that trip us up, maybe the same thing that always trips you up and you think, oh, why am I doing that again? We can just come to God and we can receive that forgiveness. I just think that's so amazing. And it reminds me of Peter in the Bible, who of course in the Easter story denies Jesus. Now, you know, Peter, a big old burly fisherman, denies Jesus to a little girl. Yeah? If you read in one of the Gospels, like a little girl comes up to him and says, oh, hello, Peter, you're with Jesus. And what does he do? Totally terrified, lies to her, and then feels totally terrible because Jesus has predicted it, hasn't he? He said, you'll deny me 3 times. And one of those times was to a little child. Well, maybe you could look back at a time in your own life where actually you've not been far off doing that yourself. And of course, that's true for each one of us. It's not just Peter who did that. But of course, the amazing thing is the forgiveness that Peter receives from Jesus after the resurrection. And Jesus asks Peter 3 times, do you love me? 3 times. And each time it's almost like it removes one of those times he denied him. Yeah? Gives him 3 opportunities to say, yes, Jesus, I love you. Sort of counteracting those 3 mistakes that he made. I just love that. And Peter's so funny, though, because even at the end of that, if you remember that story, he gets a bit annoyed with Jesus and he's like, well, of course I love you. Don't you get it? And he's almost forgetting what he's done. You know, how often are we like that as well? Like, well, okay, God, I know, I've got it. And then he's like, well, you didn't get it last week or the week before. Actually, all the week before. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, sorry. And I love the character of Peter because he's so real and so like me, actually. And I just think, wow, it's just amazing that he receives that forgiveness. And of course, look what Peter then went on to achieve in his life, doing so much amazing things. Going around healing people and talking about Jesus and being so bold and outrageous in his faith, when just before he was absolutely terrified. And of course, why can he do that? Because he receives that forgiveness. And also, equally, he receives the Holy Spirit into his life to enable him to have that boldness. And that concludes Paul's trustworthy saying. If we die with him, we will live with him. If we endure hardship, we will reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny who he is. I wonder what it is that you want to achieve in your own Christian life. What is it that you want to see happen next? Don't let the past hold you back. Don't look back on your mistakes and think, oh, I wish hadn't done that, wish I'd been more like that, wish I'd taken that opportunity sooner. Because today, as we see up there, is where it starts. We can be on a new track. And just in conclusion, I want to go back to the Sermon on the Mount and to Matthew 7. And Jesus says this: enter by the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and there are many who go in by it. But narrow is the gate and difficult is the way which leads to life, and there are few who find it. Just a story to end with to illustrate that point. Last summer, we decided we were going to go and climb Snowdon. All right? We thought this was a good idea. We thought this was quite an easy idea because the summer before, we climbed Ben Nevis. A bit more impressive? Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was a bit more impressive. Yeah. Never going to be doing that ever again, by the way, just to point out. But we did get to the top of Ben Nevis the summer before. Lots of snow up there, actually, in the middle of summer, which was really weird. Anyway, we thought, well, Snowdon, much shorter, we can do this. So somebody said to us, oh, by the way, what you want to do is you want to go up this route, not the way everyone else goes up. We want to go up this other route. So we thought, okay, that's cool, we'll do that. I said it's much more scenic, much nicer. So we decided to go up this other way. There's apparently 7 routes up Snowdon, right? I don't know if any of you know anything about this. We didn't. Probably should have done. Anyway, we decided to go up this other route. Now, this was really, really cool. Halfway up, there's this amazing monument to a great big prayer meeting that happened on Snowdon, which was really, really cool. So we actually had a little sing-song in the mountains, just us lot. That was good. And we carried on our way up. Anyway, we got closer and closer to the top. What the person hadn't told us was that near the top of this route was basically full-on rock climbing, really. Minus not really needing ropes, but it was pretty adventurous for us, anyway. Big rocks, pretty steep, and then a load of fog. Boom, down. Safe to say Edie wasn't having the greatest experience of her life, was probably an understatement. But we managed to get to the top, okay? Which was a pretty big achievement, I must say. Much more difficult than Ben Nevis. Very, very scary, actually, but very, very adventurous. And we did get to the top, and we joined in the queue. There's a great big queue, loads and loads of people at the top. You may remember during lockdown, loads of people did Snowdon, and there was all sorts of things going on at the top. You might have seen a video of people arguing. Did you see that video? There was a video that went around on social media. Well, basically, there was an argument at the top. We were watching these people all argue. We're like, hello, you're on the top of the world. Can you not do that right now? Anyway, I said to the children, don't worry, we're going to go down the way everybody else goes, and what I'll do is I'll just walk round and get the car, because we'd parked at the bottom of this other path. Yeah, okay, some of you are now realising what a stupid thing that was to say. I had no clue whatsoever. So we walked down with everybody else, which is the path that goes down where the train goes up. Yeah, if you've ever been there. And, great fun. We got to the bottom. And I'm thinking, right, how do I find where the car is? We didn't have any mobile phone signal, but I'd remembered what the car park was called. So try to find anybody that knew anything. Not many people knew anything because everyone was tourists. So I thought, okay, there's a bus stop. We'll ask the bus driver. He'll know what's going on. So I said to the bus driver, I'm just needing to walk back to my car. Is it such as that? He just looked at me. He said, are you being serious? I said, yes. He said, It's 12 miles away. I was like, oh, really? Okay, so because what we'd done is, of course, we'd gone up one side of the mountain and then we'd gone down the other side of the mountain, which is what, I'm not really supposed to do. So I said to the guy, oh, right. And you could see like 3 teenagers like looking like they're about to die. And he said, look, I'll tell you what, get on the bus, I'll take you round to the bus stop that you need to be at. I said, oh, okay. He said, I'm not going to charge you, just get on. He's thinking, what an idiot. So we got on, and then he dropped us at the bus stop. And then, believe it or not, we had to get 2 more buses around the mountain to get all the way back to where we should have been. And I thought that's an amazing illustration that actually we ended up not where we should have been because we just followed everybody else. We went down the easy path, the wide route down the mountain. We'd gone up it the difficult way, certainly. It was more exciting, that is for sure. If we'd just gone up and down the mountain, I probably wouldn't even be telling you the story, would I? But we went up the difficult path, the narrow path, and wow, it did lead to some excitement. But when we followed everybody else, we ended up miles away from where we should have been. And I thought, wow, what an amazing illustration that is of our lives. If we just take the easy route, we can so easily end up not where we're supposed to be, miles away from God's will for us, miles away from what he would have us do, just because we've done the easy path, we followed everybody else, and we've ended up 12 miles away from the car, and then we've ended up having to get all the way around the mountain a different way. And I just thought, that is what Jesus is talking about here. Enter by the narrow gate. Wide is the gate, broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many go by it. But narrow is the gate, and difficult is the way that leads to life, and there are few who find it. And I don't know about you, but I want to be one of those few who finds it, don't you? And I want to bring as many other people with me as possible on this journey of discovering who Jesus really is. And that's why I love Paul's trustworthy saying here in Timothy, because it sums it up so well of how to follow Jesus, how to experience his forgiveness, and how to carry on that narrow road, even when it seems difficult, even when it seems tough. Let me pray.